PJ, right in the middle, please, if you don't mind. Because whatever they say, that's either good or bad, you take responsibility for. Not your parents. Aren't you glad about that you're just not responsible for anything, John and Kim? As I ask your children, do you guys know that this is John and Kim's children? For those of you who aren't here, I think we can just say thank you to John and Kim for raising up an outstanding group of kids. They really, really are. And they're not just outstanding because they have certain giftings, but I had the opportunity to spend some time with them. This past week, we got together twice, and just to talk. And who they are up front here, I'm pleased to say, they are during the week as we sat. They have a real passion for Christ, these guys, and they authentic and they sincere. And I love that about a young group who, and they are young. Deborah, you're an incredible blessing to this group because you bring their age right down. Well done. And having spent time with them, I was keen to find out just what makes them who they are. Why are they doing this? Are they in it just for the kick? Or is there a call of God upon their lives? We've been talking in the church here about the call, our call. And you're modeling something of a call today to us as a church, as you have. And that's very, very important for us as a church because we believe that where people spend most of their time, that's probably where their call is. And so it's very important for us to contextualize the call of God, that what He does with you, He may not do with me. And what He does with Simone, He may not do with you. But He may. And that's the exciting thing about this morning. God is dropping incredible seed within the hearts of some people. Petros, you may be going to Sudan. I say that with tongue in cheek because God does drop calls within our hearts. And sometimes we don't even expect it. And God does something. And so keep your heart open. So, PJ, would you introduce the team to us, please?
Yes, absolutely. Over here, the man who looks like Jesus and Moses, our biblical bassist, Drew. Over here, with the short hair up top and long hair on bottom, Sean. This is our lead vocalist, Catherine. I'm PJ, and I'm sure you guys know Deborah and Sarah, and I'm definitely sure you at least know Deborah. She's got a very strong personality. These guys are my brothers and sisters by blood, if you haven't already picked up on that one. And we are a family band. We've been doing this for about 11 years.
Would you introduce your spouses, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
They are a very important part of this group.
Well, my daughter is currently sleeping. I don't know if I'm going to make my wife stand up. Right back there in the purplish blue holding the baby, with the baby in the denim, that's my wife, Holly, and our daughter, Alexis. Oh, hey, Lexi's up. Good morning, sweetheart. And I'll let Drew introduce his wife.
My wife is the one sitting next to the one with the baby. Hannah, you can stand because you're not holding a baby. That's Hannah.
Wonderful.
She probably won't be holding a baby for a while, so she'll always be able to stand.
And your friend? And your friend, come on. You can. She's very important.
And this is
Your friend?
my friend Rachel right here.
Can we welcome Rachel, please, guys? Lovely to have Rachel with us too. What's in the name Breakthrough? Whoever wants to respond.
Well, it actually took us a long time to come down to a name. Just because when you're a band, you kind of want your name to stand out. And at the same time, you don't want it to be cheesy. So there's a lot of thought that goes into it.
We were going to do Hot Daddy and the Monkey Puppets, but it was already taken. We were going to do Hot Daddy and the Monkey Puppets, but it was already taken.
Anyway, we have a friend who went to the same church that we used to go to, who was an artist from Northfield, Minnesota, USA. And his name escapes me at the moment. Fred Sommers. And he painted this awesome picture. It was of the sun breaking through these clouds. And I don't know if he meant it to look this way or not, but the clouds sort of looked like an angel kind of standing guard over in the sky. And we just thought that was a really, really cool symbolism there, the sun breaking through the clouds and someone standing watch over us. And he called that picture Breakthrough. And that stuck out to us. We said, hey, Mr. Sommers, do you mind if we use that name as our band name, Breakthrough? Because it really symbolized what we wanted to do. We kind of wanted to get out of the rut that a lot of startup bands are in, where you kind of go and you play smaller clubs and garages and basements and living rooms and things like that. And there are a lot of, Christian bands who do that too, but they only go about as far as the money takes them. And when you're a startup, it doesn't take you very far. So it really symbolized our want to break out and break through that darkness and kind of shine a light where there isn't one. And the way that we've chosen to do that through the years is cover a lot of popular secular songs within reason, and play music that's more appealing, I think, to a secular ear. We have a lot of instrumental solos. I tend to have more gruff vocals. Catherine has some very high-soaring female vocals, and Drew screams every now and again. And it appeals to a broader audience, and it's great because it allows us to go into a bar. And we actually played a bar about a year and a half ago. We went into this bar, surprise, surprise, a lot of drunk people. But we went in, and for about an hour, we played covers. And then finally, the Lord led us to do an altar call, and a lot of people responded, and it was awesome. And if we hadn't played the kind of music that we played, if we didn't have the mission that we had, we wouldn't have been able to pull off an altar call in a bar. And so I hope that kind of gives you a better idea of why we wanted the name Breakthrough, why we use the name Breakthrough.
You've answered about 4 questions of mine in that.
Well, good.
Retort. Well done.
I'm a communications major. It's what I do best.
But based on your description on what type of music you guys sing in, that Drew kind of shouts every now and then, that means that I can join your band because I do a lot of shouting too.
Excellent.
Drew, the type of music that you guys play, and I think PJ really touched on it. Why did you guys choose that style of music? Is it is concentrated on a particular generation, particular group, particularly when you're out there? We know that you guys do worship music like within the church, but
I guess the type of music we do, partially, if we're being completely honest, is my dad loved country with a fiery passion, and we sort of wanted to escape that right at the start. So that, jumped us into like rock and pop and other things. I don't know, I guess everybody was sort of getting, it seemed to us like everybody else was sort of getting their Christian variation on music from hip-hop and pop and country and all of that, and it seemed like there was just this group that was getting neglected. So we decided, well, let's take on that group. And also, honestly, it's a lot more fun to play than like country music is. So, sorry, Dad.
Very good. Catherine, what would you say are maybe one of the highlights of this past year of ministry as a group out there?
We all have different ones because, we all come together as a band on the weekend, but during the weeks, he lives about an hour away from me. He lives about 3 hours away from me. He lives about 5 minutes from me, and they live walking a couple days. Wait, so I would think of different highlights. As a band, I know that there was a girl who came up to PJ after he has a testimony that we give when we feel God moving us to give a testimony at the end. He has a testimony that he gives that he could explain later. I mean, it's not mine. And this girl came up afterwards, and she said, after you guys played your music and after you gave your testimony, I was going to kill myself this week. And I decided that what'd she say? She was going to give her life to Christ, that she wasn't going to kill herself. And a couple years ago, somebody else said the same thing, was that our music had gotten them through the summer, and that they wouldn't have made it otherwise without it. So that's the kind of stuff, as we talk about with my dad in our Bible studies, that's the kind of stuff, if one person comes up to you in 10 years of playing, which we've had more than one person, but if one person comes up to you in 10 years of playing, that makes all of the money spent, all of the hard trying to fit homework into practice time, because we all are going through college too. All the sacrifices and not really living the normal teenage life is all worth it for just that one person. But that particularly was one of the highlights of this year, I think, for the whole group.
Sean, one of your highlights. And by the way, did you not absolutely, Dave, just loved how this guy plays the drums? Someone told me before, and they just said, man, you need to watch this guy when he plays the drums. And I sat there, and the proficiency in this group is obviously of a high quality. But man, watching this guy behind the drums, I've always wanted to be a lead vocalist playing a guitar, and I think God will grant that desire when I get to heaven one day. But after seeing you play the drums, I've changed my idea. I want to play the drums in heaven one day. You were just outstanding.
Well, thank you. I think that spot's taken by me, though. I was like, God, please let me do that. But one of my big highlights in the many years that we've been playing was that last summer we went to South Dakota onto a couple of Indian reservations to play 2 concerts, but really more importantly, to spend time with the people there. And it really just changed my life to see the lives of these kids in the city. They were just dying for attention, and for anyone who would give it to them, they would approach them. And, for them to see, oh, look at all these bands come in here, they're famous, they're cool rock stars, all of this, we got to hang out with them. And I don't know, it's just, we went to do the ministering, but in reality, I think the ministering was done towards us. And that just kind of hit me, because I've never really been all that great with little kids, and my family can attest to this. But I think after last summer, a lot has changed, where the Lord He comes and He touches my life and ministers to me through just the purity and the innocence and the wisdom and the funny things that kids say and do. So I think last summer on those Indian reservations were some of the biggest highlights for me.
Sarah. In your opinion, what makes Breakthrough a unique band?
I think it's that we all grew up really close. We always shared rooms, and then we had Bible studies together as a family, and so we grew into like a group. We all work really well for each other, and if somebody struggles in one area, then the other person can pick it up. With music, like this morning, I didn't know one of the songs, and Catherine came over and she's like, "Oh, here, this is how you do it," and we can help each other. And yeah, I don't know.
I think it does make you guys a very unique group. Deborah, I've got a very, I think, interesting question to ask you, because we do know that you're the life of the group.
Oh yes, well, obviously.
But in your opinion, again, it's just your opinion, but in your opinion, who is perceived as being the adopted one in this family?
Well,
Who is the one who really doesn't fit? Who's really not?
that's actually, well, if everybody stands up, you can see that they're all tall.
Yeah.
And I'm not. So I think it would be me.
She would be the adopted one within the family. Very, very good. Can we give her a great round of applause? That's a very good response, actually. No finger pointing. I thought she may have looked at her sister, Catherine. And if I had to answer the question, I kind of, was vacillating between Drew and Catherine when I looked at which one of them really would be the adopted one in the Medine family. My first instinct on Saturday when I met you guys, I thought, no. Drew has to be the missing link within this family. And then when I got to know Catherine a little bit, don't you just love her ever? Just her passion. One of the things that inspires me is people who are really passionate about what they do. And so we joke around about which one is the perceived adopted one, but I just love your passion. So often with younger people and with younger groups, we would want to say to them, well, just tone it down a little bit. Just tone it down a little bit. Just my advice to them as a group, never tone it down. Because you will get old one day when you would have to tone it down because your hearing's not that good. So while you are young, just don't tone it down. Be who you are, but be passionate for Christ. And wasn't that maybe one of the things that stood out for you? Just that there is a genuine passion for Christ. And so PJ, as the one who leads the band, how does the gospel, stroke the Lord Jesus Christ, feature within your band?
How does the Lord minister through the band?
Is Jesus central? Is the gospel one of the features, standing out features? When
Yes.
you guys go and play? Or do you just go and play for entertainment? Or is there a purpose behind this group?
I would say the purpose behind the group is our calling, which I believe is the Great Commission. And if I had a version of the Bible, it would be the PJM paraphrased version. I'm never very good at quoting it quote for quote, but if you guys have your Bibles and you can open up to Matthew 28:18 through 20, you can tell me what I'm about to say wrong. But it basically says, go out and into all the world and reach out to people in my name and bring them to me. And that's the last thing recorded that Jesus says to us before he ascends into heaven. And it wasn't a suggestion. It doesn't say, I'd prefer it if you'd go do this. It says, go do it. Yeah. Jesus said it in the authority that was his, because he is God. Go out into all the world and preach the gospel to all nations. Wonderful. And that is a calling that we take very seriously on our lives. Like you said, many people have different kinds of callings. I believe and this is just me, I believe they're all different versions of the same thing. You minister where you're at, or you go out to where God sends you. But one way or the other, you're where you're supposed to be. And our goal in that place is to reach outside of our comfort zone, reach outside of what's easy, reach outside of the financial barriers, reach outside of our comfort zones that are our homes, our lives, our daily routines, and walk up to that person in the grocery store and say, is there anything I can pray for you for? Be open to the Lord, so when you go and you fill up, when you're going to fill up your car at the gas station, you can hear when God says, hey, I'd like it if you'd pay for this person and their gas as well. And I know it's expensive, but if you trust me, I'll make up the difference. You know what I mean? It's small things like that. Or you could take it to a big scale, traveling internationally for the sake of ministry. We try to take it on that scale, and it's really pushed us through the years. There were a lot of points in the past 11 years where we didn't know if we were going to have gas to make it to the next stop. We didn't know if we were going to be able to get our, guitar fixed in time. There was a point on tour last year where 2 of our guitars fell out of the back of the truck while Drew was on an errand in town for the tour director. And he gets back and goes, "Hey, PJ, where were the guitars?" And I just thought, they were in the back of the truck. Oh, my gosh. And I just knew that they had fallen out the back hatch. And I run out to the truck, and surely enough, all of our guitars, well, 2 of them that weren't stored safely enough, were gone. We had no idea where they were. And Drew had traveled across the interstate to get where he needed to go. And I think we were leaving the next day. We didn't know if we were going to be able to have our guitars with us or if we were going to have to borrow from someone else. So we all get together and pray, and we go out, and we find Drew's bass about 2 minutes away from where we were staying. And we drove, and we couldn't find my guitar anywhere. So we go back, and then we go out for another run. We're just praying, God, please, help us to either find my guitar or help it to bless whoever finds it. And I get a phone call from a number I don't recognize saying, "Are you Paul Medine?" And they said Medin, but that's because that's what everyone's called us. Anyway, "Are you Paul Medin?" "Yes, I am." "Do you own an orange guitar?" My guitar back home is orange. "Yeah." "Well, we heard something fall out of a car or something outside of our house about a half hour ago, and we opened up the case to try to find any identification. We found this receipt, and it had your name and your phone number on it." And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." I wasn't quite sure what they were talking about. But they gave us directions to their house. We went, we picked up my guitar. I opened up the case, found the receipt they were talking about, and it was a receipt from a repair I had done a year earlier. And it was one of those unplanned repairs. And I guess I forgot to throw it away or something. I left it in my case, and picks and strings got piled on top of it, totally lost it. But it had my name and my number, and that's what you call God planning in advance. And that's what you call God providing when you have the faith to know that he's going to take care of you. When you reach out and you step out of your comfort zone, you step outside the financial barriers, and you go out to all the nations and you preach his name. That's what Breakthrough is about. That's where Jesus features in our band, and that's what we feel like we're called to do.
That's outstanding. Can we say thank you to Breakthrough, please? Brilliantly answered. They're going to play a song that it's the type of song they would play when they, not necessarily within a church context, maybe you do, but it is one that you just can get a taste of when they particularly out there. I heard them play it this morning, and I said to them, after I've interviewed you, I'd like you to play that song for us, and we're going to worship the Lord Jesus together with that. But what we would like to do before we do that is to pray for you and to pray for Simone. And so would you please come forward too, please, Simone? And I'm just going to ask a few people just to come and pray with us. Would you come up, please? Just some of the elders, our wives, some of the guys there. Would you just come?